So, usually, when we talk about folklore, we think of the classics. You know, vampires in castles, werewolves in the dark woods of Europe, or maybe the yokai of Japan. Things that have been cataloged and explained to death. But if you look at the map, specifically towards the Indus Valley, there's a massive, almost overwhelming blind spot. Pakistan. It's a place that sits right on the edge, a literal crossroads between the ancient animism of the mountains and the mystical theology of the deserts. And because of that, the stories there, they aren't just ghost stories. They're warnings, they're memories of things that people actually believe they've seen. I've been digging into this, pulling at the loose threads of the internet, looking at translations of old Shina and Koar texts, and what I found, well, it's unsettling, because it feels plausible. So, today, we're going to construct an iceberg, a descent into the supernatural geography of Pakistan. We're going to start at the surface with the things you might have heard of, and then we're going to sink deeper into the weird, into the obscure, until we hit the bottom. So, let's turn off the lights and see what's hiding in the dark. Moving on to the first tier. These are the entities that, if you grew up in the region, you didn't just hear about them. You were probably terrified of them. First up, we've got the Pichel Peri. Now, on the surface, this sounds like a classic, almost standard ghost story. You're driving on a lonely road, maybe somewhere in the Punjab or up in the pine forests of the north, and you see a woman. She's beautiful, alone, vulnerable. She's hiding her face, maybe crying, but the horror here isn't in what she does. It's in the anatomy. Because when you get close, when you finally look down, her feet are backward. The heels are where the toes should be. It's a simple biological glitch that triggers this primal, uncanny valley response. It's just wrong. And by the time you notice the feet, well, it's usually too late. She isn't just a ghost. She's a predator. A thing that lures you in by pretending to be human, but failing just slightly at the details. And she often gets confused with the Shirael. Now, the Shirael is tragic. She's the revenant of a woman who died, specifically during childbirth or pregnancy, usually due to neglect. She comes back, hideous, dark, with a mouth that, according to some legends, is just a little too big for her face. She lives in trees, specifically the banyan tree. That's why, in rural areas, people genuinely avoid sleeping under trees at night. It isn't superstition to them, it's survival. She drains the life, the virility out of men, turning them old overnight. It's a horrifying metaphor for the life that was stolen from her. And then there's the jinn, but not the blue guy from the lamp. In Pakistan, jinns are complex. They're made of smokeless fire. They live in parallel dimensions. They can be good, bad, or just mischievous. They occupy abandoned houses, ruins, places that humans have left behind. It's that idea of liminal spaces again. If you leave a house empty for too long, something else is going to move in. Moving on to the second tier. We're leaving the countryside and heading into the cities and the history books. This is where things get weirdly specific. Let's talk about the Mum of Quetta. Now, this one's fascinating because it's a perfect example of how a physical object can birth a monster. In the city of Quetta, back in the late 1800s, the British built a memorial for soldiers who died in the Afghan wars. And on this memorial, they put a statue of a sphinx, a lion with a human head. But the locals, they didn't know about Egyptian mythology. They saw a monster, a mum, and over decades, the story mutated. People started believing that the statue came alive at night, that it was a real creature, half beast, half woman, that roamed the dark alleys, eating livestock and children. It became a cryptid, a tulpa almost, a monster created entirely by misunderstanding. The statue was actually destroyed by a mob in 1992. But the story, the fear, that stayed. And then there's the Karsaz Bride in Karachi. This is a very modern haunting. Karsaz Road, late at night. The story goes that a newlywed couple crashed there decades ago. The husband died and the bride, trapped in the wreckage, in her red wedding dress, slowly bled out. Now, people claim that late at night, you see her, a woman in red, standing on the road. But the creepy part is, some drivers say, she runs alongside the car at 40, 50 miles an hour, just staring at you, screaming. And we gotta mention the now Gaza Pirs, the 9-yard saints, all over the Punjab, in places like Gujarat and Lahore. You find these graves, and I mean massive graves, 9 yards long, almost 30 feet. The local legend says these were giants, ancient warriors who came to the region centuries ago. They say people were just bigger back then. Archaeologists, well, they say they're mass graves, warriors buried together. But standing next to a 30-foot grave, it kind of makes you wonder. And now, the last and deepest tier. These are the stories that you won't find on Wikipedia. These are the things that the people in the high mountains, in the roof of the world, whisper about. Let's go to Gilgit-Baltistan and talk about the Jardhang Alo. Just listen to that name. It comes from the sound of clanking metal. This thing isn't seen, it's heard. It's a death omen, they say. On pitch black nights, you hear it coming down the valley. The sound of bones, skulls, and iron chains smashing together. Clank, clank, clank. If it stops outside your house, someone inside is gonna die. It's a psychopomp, a harvester of souls. It's terrifying because it's formless. It's just a sound in the dark that tells you your time is up. Then there's the Sheshal Kiska in the Hunza Valley. This is deeply unsettling. She is invisible, but if you could see her, she's got no head. Her eyes are on her shoulders, and she hides in the dirty corners of your house, in the unswept shadows. She doesn't eat you. She eats your happiness. She sows discord. She makes families hate each other. If you suddenly feel a rage against your brother or your spouse for no reason, they say, it's her. She is the parasite of the home. And finally, in the remote Chitral Valley, there's the Halmasti, a giant wolf the size of a horse, with fur the color of dried blood, and it breathes fire. But here's the scientific hook. The name Halmasti is also associated with lightning. It appears only during thunderstorms. It runs alongside jeeps on those terrifying mountain roads. It is the storm made flesh, a literal thunderwolf. And we haven't even touched on the Makra Peak, the Spider Mountain, where the fog is said to be a web that traps hikers, or the Gwat, the wind spirits of the coast that possess you and can only be exorcised through a specific hypnotic drum ritual. So, that's the iceberg. From the backward-footed ghosts on the highway to the clanking bone monsters of the high Himalayas, Pakistan's folklore isn't just fantasy. It's a map of cultural fears, fear of the wild, fear of the dark, and fear of each other. There's so much more to dig into here, but I think I heard something clanking outside. So I'm gonna check the locks. Thanks for watching. Sleep well.